Welcome to the PACAC Keystone Virtual College Exploration, Vanderbilt University presentation tonight. I want to go over a few rules of the road before I turn it over to our panelists. First, how do you ask questions? At the bottom of your screen, you'll notice a Q&A, a feature. Please type any of your questions in there and our panelists will be happy to address them or save them at the end and be sure that they get answered. This is a webinar format, so your camera and microphone are off. The panelists can neither see nor hear you, but use that Q&A and they will know you're there. Thank you for signing up for this session at www.pacac.org/virtual. The recording of this session will be posted there. If you miss anything, you can go back and listen and watch the recording and the recording of other sessions. Plus, you can sign up for future sessions. The Keystone College Exploration runs through November 6th. With all that said, I am now going to stop sharing and turn this over to our panelists, Laura and John Robert from Vanderbilt. Thanks and welcome.
Hello, everybody. My name is Laura McCann, and I am an admissions officer here at Vanderbilt. I work with students around the Pittsburgh area. I am joined today by my lovely colleague, John Robert.
Hi, my name is John Robert Linscomb. I work with students kind of all around the United States, but within Pennsylvania, pretty much everywhere except the Philadelphia and the Pittsburgh area. So pretty much the other of Pennsylvania. So real excited to be here today.
Yeah, and John Robert is going to be joining you all in the chat. So if you have questions during the presentation, he will be happy to answer those for you. We do have a third colleague that covers the Philadelphia area named Julie Chapman. Don't worry, we do have a slide at the end with all three of our contact information. So depending on where you're joining us from, hopefully the three of us will cover that. But before we get started, we do want to comment on the current times that we're all living in. Vanderbilt and Vanderbilt Admissions stand firmly against police brutality, and we support the fight for justice and equity for all Black Americans. Black Lives Matter. We also hope that each of you are staying safe and healthy given the current coronavirus pandemic. As you'll find in this presentation, context-based holistic evaluation has always been a hallmark of our process at Vanderbilt. We recognize that's probably more important this year than ever before. But don't worry, we will get to all of that and what that means. But a little bit of overview about Vanderbilt. So we have about 7,000 undergraduate students on campus and right at 6,000 graduate students. You may realize that that's a little bit higher than our traditional number, and that is because of COVID-19. We did have some space to have a larger freshman class this year, as some of our students did choose remote learning. So hopefully this is the only year that we see that strange kind of caveat, but do know that we do have about 7,000 undergraduates right now. Now there are 10 colleges and schools. 6 of those are graduate schools and 4 of those are undergraduate schools, which you will be applying into. Now, of those 4 undergraduate schools, you will find 70 major fields of study. What's very exciting is that we added 2 new majors this year. You'll find jazz studies in the Blair School of Music, as well as architecture in the College of Arts and Science. Now, we do have over 420 student clubs and organizations. Vanderbilt students are very engaged. The average student is involved in about 2 to 3 different student organizations on campus. Now, many of these are identity-based, some culturally based, but many are special interest, and those can range from things like the running club to the South Dakota Appreciation Club. So hopefully a little bit of everything for everyone. Now, diversity is very important at Vanderbilt. We want our community to represent the world in which we live in. So you will find that our students identify a lot of different ways. 44% of our students do identify as students of color. So you will find diversity of race and ethnicity. You'll also find diversity of political thought. About 1/3 of our students identify liberal, 1/3 conservative, and 1/3 moderate. Religious affiliation, there are several different faith-based organizations on our campus. And we're geographically diverse as well. We do hail from 49 states and 62 different countries. We have about 660 international students on our campus. And we're socioeconomically diverse as well. And we'll talk more about that later in the presentation. But I know you all have been dying to get to that 3-to-1 squirrel to student ratio. This is just our fun way of saying that we are a national arboretum. So we are in the city center of Nashville. We're just 1.5 miles from downtown. So it's a very urban environment, but you don't realize that while on campus. It has 330 acres of green space, over 300 trees are on campus, and it's a very contained campus. So you're never crossing major intersections or streets to get from one building to another. However, just steps off campus, you have everything you need right there at your fingertips. So you really can't beat the wonderful location. Now, when you apply to Vanderbilt, you will apply into one of these 4 undergraduate schools. Now, the College of Arts and Science, that is our largest and oldest school. It houses about 4,000 undergraduate students, about 1,000 freshmen. Now, you may be thinking, obviously, anyone in arts and science will be applying there, of course, but also things like economics, medicine, health, and society, or if you are undecided, you will be applying into the College of Arts and Science. Now, it's completely okay to not know exactly what you want to do at age 17 or 18. So you do have 2 full years in the College of Arts and Science to determine exactly what you want to do. So you do not have to declare a major until 2nd semester sophomore year. Now, similarly, the School of Engineering allows a lot of room for exploration. Obviously, when you apply to the School of Engineering, we're hoping you have a leaning towards becoming an engineer, but we don't expect you to know exactly what kind just yet. So we do offer what is called a module curriculum. So of our 8 engineering disciplines that we offer, you will choose 3 that you're most interested in. So that could be chemical, biomedical, and civil. You will try each of those out for 3 weeks at a time that very first semester. Now, hopefully at the end of your first year, one of those speaks more to your talents and interests than the others, and that's what you'll declare as your major moving forward. So a little bit short of a timeline there, but still some room to kind of find your perfect fit. Now, Peabody and Blair work a little bit differently. These have some more specific programs, so you do apply directly into your major. So we're looking for more specific things in that application. So if you are interested in elementary, secondary, or special education, you will be applying to Peabody, as well as things like childhood development, cognitive studies, or one of our most common majors on campus, human and organizational development. So you may have noticed that we do not have a business school at the undergraduate level. Human and organizational development kind of supplements for that. It really teaches students the psychology of business, so how to think critically, problem solve, and work collaboratively within a business setting. So a lot of times business-minded students do tend to gravitate towards that HOD major. Now we do also have a business minor that that a lot of our students do add on to any major of choice, and it's a very strong program at Vanderbilt. So if you're interested in business, don't immediately rule us out. Trust me, we have great offerings for you. Now, last but certainly not least is the Blair School of Music. This is our smallest school. It houses about 220 undergraduate students. Now it is purely undergraduate. So students are never competing with graduate students for rehearsal time, space, or spots in ensembles. Now it is conservatory style curriculum, but it's housed within a medium-sized institution. So you're getting larger school resources and amenities that you may not be getting at a conservatory. Now, the beauty of Blair is that anyone can take classes in Blair and anyone can be involved in ensembles in Blair without having to be a major or minor. So if you're very passionate about an instrument and you want to continue that in college, you can absolutely do that at Vanderbilt. Now, the best thing about Vanderbilt and the liberal arts education is that our students are eager to learn, they have lots of interests, and we don't put any restraints on that. So you can take classes across all 4 schools. It's no surprise to see a School of Engineering student taking classes in Peabody or Blair. We let our students pursue all interests at Vanderbilt. Now, about 35% do choose to double major. They have so much passion for their subjects that they want to do it twice. So you can double major across all 4 schools at Vanderbilt as well. If you're already considering that, do know that for the purpose of applying, excuse me, For the purpose of applying, you do apply with one major. Once you get here, we'll help you figure the rest out. Now, you can also transfer amongst all 4 schools. And that's important to note just because, again, at 17, 18, you don't have to know exactly what you want to do. So if you come in School of Engineering and then you get here and you realize maybe a better fit for you was the College of Arts and Science, we're not here to tell you you can't do that. So all we require is that you stay in the school you were admitted to that first year. But after that, we just have to get a few signatures and we can move you wherever you need to be. Now, we are a Research 1 institution. So 56% of our students are choosing to complete undergraduate research. This can start as early as your freshman year. Now, you will hear a lot about medical research at Vanderbilt because we do share a campus with Vanderbilt Medical Center. But really, a lot of this research comes from our amazing faculty. We do have a 7-to-1 student to faculty ratio. That means 93% of your classes have fewer than 50 students and 80% have fewer than 30. So you are really getting to know your professors here, not only on professional levels, but on personal levels too. It is never shocking to be having a conversation with a professor and learn that whatever research they're doing is something that you're equally as passionate about and excited about, and you just ask to jump on board. Most of the time, they're very excited to have you. Now, students can do research across all disciplines at Vanderbilt. You can also do research that is outside of your major as well. Those are questions I get often. So when you are at Vanderbilt, we have a lot of ways for you to get involved in research, whether that's on campus or off. But everyone at Vanderbilt has some sort of experiential learning requirement, which we call Immersion Vanderbilt. So this was just created a few years ago. Really, these were things our students were already accomplishing on their own, but now we're able to better support them by the creation of Immersion. So this is anything that goes beyond the classroom. So like we mentioned earlier, research, but also internships, study abroad, creative expression, and civic engagement. Anything that our students are doing above and beyond. Now, like I said, our students were already doing this, but now we have extra supports in place. So we do have full-time staff that are going to make sure that you're finding a project, you're getting connected to the appropriate resources, that you are staying on your timeline, executing appropriately. We also have a little bit of funding available. So if you need something like a research grant, we are able to help you there. Now, this is also going on your transcript. So you have something really tangible to put on a resume. So that 4th year when you're applying to grad school, professional programs, or jobs, you already have that real world experience before you ever leave campus. So you are a more competitive candidate in those pools. Now, a lot of this is possible because of our location. We are located in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee. But not only in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee, but 1.5 miles from downtown, where much of our opportunities come from. So between Immersion Vanderbilt, our alumni network, and our career center, our students are getting matched to all kinds of internship and research opportunities off campus. Now, these are not only plentiful, as we do have Fortune 500 companies, major corporations, our largest employer is healthcare, and of course, Music City, USA. We are known for music production. We are one of the fastest growing cities in the country, so everybody is trying to be here. Our economy continues to grow each year. So they are very plentiful to our students, but they're also easily accessible because of our location. So students can take a car or a bus just a couple of minutes to downtown. We do ride the bus for free at Vanderbilt with our Commodore card. That bus takes you all around the city of Nashville. Of course, our students' favorite mode of transportation are electric scooters, and mine is walking. So you can get around to these opportunities really easily from campus. Now, it's also a fun place to be. We are Music City, so there are 20,000 live music events every single normal year. Only 1/3 of which are country music, which controversially, I'm not a big country music fan, so I appreciate that there are 2/3 for the rest of us. So if you're in the same boat as me, know that we have options. Also, anything with a major tour makes a stop in Nashville. So that's podcasts, book tours, Broadway shows. These are all great ways for our students to experience off campus. We also have major league sports, hockey, football, soccer, and minor league ball. And on campus, we have 16 varsity athletic teams. We are actually D1. We're members of the SEC, And our students do get free admission to all of our athletic events. So if you want to see the current reigning World Series champs, that is the Vandy boys, which is a joke because we won in 2019 and we couldn't play in 2020. So we'll ride that wave until we can't anymore. Now, last but certainly not least, we are a foodie city. So the local delicacy here is the hot chicken. If that is something that excites you, do know that that is included on your meal plan. We add a little cash to that so that you can dine off campus and check out some local eateries if you enjoy exploring through your stomach. Now, this is our spirit of admissions. This is what we keep on our desk, and we review every single year before we start the review process. And I just always like to highlight the second paragraph here. Every applicant is treated with dignity and respect. So we know how much time and energy you have put into an application. We're going to return that same energy back to you. So every application in our process is reviewed at least 2 times. One set of eyes will always be your admissions officer. So that is John, Robert, myself, or Julie. Now, however far you make it in the process, it could be read 3, 4, 5 times. And that is because we never want to miss anything. Now, we also train our readers to find reasons to admit rather than deny. We never go in looking for a big gotcha moment. I promise no one in our office enjoys hitting that deny button. Instead, we are looking for all the really fantastic things you're doing. What was unique about your application? What was exciting? What really incredible things are you doing? We're really emphasizing those so that anybody else that may be reading your application sees what stellar students you are and what a great fit you would be for Vanderbilt. So what are we looking for in our applicants? Well, in that opening statement, we talked about context-based holistic evaluation. That is very important at Vanderbilt. That holistic piece means we look at every single part of the application. That is no different this year. Now, every year, we've always reviewed you in the context of your own high school and personal circumstance. Additional context this year, of course, is COVID-19. We know some of these things, if not all of these things, may be directly affected by the global pandemic. I'm here to tell you that's okay. Now, when we are looking at academic achievement, we're looking at your transcript. That is not a magic PA. We're really looking at rigor. So what was offered to you in your high school and what did you take advantage of within those offerings? So I always like to stress, we never compare one school to another. For instance, I went to a small school in a small town, offered 2 APs. My application would not be looked at differently or would be looked at differently than a student that went to a school that had 32 APs, okay? Those can't be compared. So do not stress if your school doesn't have the same resources as the school down the street. We're looking at you in the context of your own high school. Now, standardized test scores. Traditionally, we need ACT or SAT test scores. We have no preference. We do super score both exams. So every many times you take the test, we'll take the highest subscore of each test to give you the highest possible composite. So it only ever helps you in the process. Now, we do not require any sort of secondary testing. That includes subject tests, AP or IB exams. Now, if you take those, you're really excited about them, you think they'll enhance your application, send them on, go for it. But if you also maybe took an AP class and we never got a test score, we're not going to ask questions, all right? We understand. Now, this is not a traditional year, right? So Vanderbilt is test optional for the class of 2021. 2022, we do not know yet. So I know that's always the follow-up question. Trust me, we will continue to monitor the situation. And as soon as a decision is made, it will be blasted all over our website, I'm sure. But for the class of 2021, we are test optional, and that is truly optional. So that means we do not need test scores for scholarship purposes, and we do not need any sort of supplemental information if you apply without a test score, okay? And that goes back to that holistic piece. So we have always looked at every single part of your application. This will just be one part we don't look at this year, all right? Now, if you have already had scores submitted to us, maybe you took the test your junior year and you put our name down when you registered, so you know that we have it in our possession. That's okay. As long as you tell us not to look at it on your application, we won't go looking, okay? So don't stress about that. Now, maybe you're ready to apply, but you're taking the test tomorrow and you're not sure what that's going to look like. you can always change your mind. So if you apply test optional and then you get your test score back from tomorrow and you realize you nailed it, knocked it out of the park, it's going to enhance your application. You can always send us an email and say, hey, actually, I want to change my mind. I want you to check out my test scores. Just know that we can't change our mind in the opposite direction, right? So the second you tell us to check out your test scores, there's kind of no going back from that, all right? So just heads up there. Now, we still need 3 letters of recommendation. 1 will come from your school counselor and 2 come from core area subject teachers. That's math, science, English, history, and foreign language. We'd love to see letters from teachers in fields similar to this field of study you are choosing. So for instance, if you're applying as a STEM student, we're going to hope to see STEM area teacher letters of recommendation, okay? But that's not to say that we won't accept additional letters, because we absolutely will. So if you have another teacher, a community leader, an employer, coach, anything like that, anybody that wants to speak on your behalf, they absolutely can. We do accept those additional letters of recommendation. Now, the personal essay. You all put way too much pressure on yourselves here. Really, we just want to learn more about you, and you get to choose what that is. So some students choose really deeply personal essays. They really reveal something about their identity. That's great. Others choose to write really light and funny essays and showcase personality. And still others want to write about something they're really passionate about. All of those are great, as long as we leave the application feeling like we learned more about who you are as a person, and that sounded different than the application we read before you. That is all that is important, okay? Don't write in a way you think we want to hear. There is no magic sauce. As long as you are excited to write about it, it will be exciting to read, I promise. Now, as far as extracurricular activities, here we always talk about the 2 L's, longevity and leadership. So we want to know, what were you involved in for the longest period of time, and where did you make the greatest impact? I always like to emphasize here that you can lead without a title. So just because you weren't president or vice president of a club or captain of that team doesn't mean you didn't make an impact. So when you're filling out that activities list, if you think about it, make sure you put a line or 2 about your involvement there, so that we can know exactly how you made an impact there. Now, we know this might look different this year, right? Maybe you couldn't be captain of that team or president of that club. That's okay. Maybe you did teach yourself how to play guitar or a second language. Maybe you took care of siblings or worked part-time. All of those things are very valid to include on an activities list. Now, I also like to say mental health is important. So it's okay if you didn't do anything extra during this time, all right? We're worried about you, so take care of yourself too. Do know that there is a COVID-19 section on the Common application and the Coalition application. So if you need space to speak about how this has affected you, that is made available to you. Now, it is completely optional, so do not feel pressured to do it. But if you do think you need that extra room, it is there. Now, I mentioned that we are socioeconomically diverse, and that is thanks to Opportunity Vanderbilt. So Opportunity Vanderbilt makes 3 promises to our students. Number 1, we are need blind for all U.S. citizens and permanent residents. So what that means is that we read your application with no regard as to how much you can afford to attend Vanderbilt. All right. So we never see financial documents during the reading process. Promise number 2 is that we meet 100% of demonstrated financial need. So how do we determine need? Well, we need both the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. You're probably most familiar with that. We also need what is called the CSS profile. That is through the College Board. There is a fee associated with it. Now, the third promise is that we meet 100% of need without student loans. So you will never see loans in our financial aid packages. What you will find are scholarships and grant money. So that's money you never pay back. You may also find what's called federal work study. So this is a federally funded program that helps you get connected to an on-campus job, and it works as an additional income for you. Now, one of the best parts about Opportunity Vanderbilt is that there are no income bans or cutoffs for students. So all students are eligible for Opportunity Vanderbilt. Just be sure you're getting both of those documents into us. Now, if you are interested in applying for a merit-based scholarship, do know that is a separate scholarship application. So the deadline for the scholarship application is December 1st. You do have to apply to the university first to get that scholarship application. So what that means is regardless of your decision plan, you want to submit your application by middle of November. So you have time to get that scholarship application sent to you, worked on, and returned to us by that December 1st deadline. All right. I know that can be really tricky and confusing, but I never want you to miss out on scholarship opportunities. Now we know that you all cannot visit us in person, so we do have a wonderful virtual VU, a robust kind of curriculum of a lot of different ways for you to connect with us virtually. One of those is this virtual tour here. You can follow this link and it'll take you to a tour that you can take at any time on your own. But if you go to our webpage, our visit page, it has a whole host of different offerings. So we are starting tours of campus and all of the academic colleges. Those are led by current Vanderbilt tour guides, quite literally with iPads through campus, but they miss you all so much. They're really excited to connect with you all that way. Then we also have current student panels. So if you want to meet with current students and get some candid answers to questions about student life or any sort of classes, anything like that. We also have webinars that are all educational in nature. So if you need help walking through the common application or the coalition application, or want to better understand the role of the college essay, that is all available to you, as well as faculty conversations, academic spotlights, campus partner spotlights, a little bit of everything to help you all better feel better connected to Vanderbilt during this weird time, because we're not hosting any sort of on-campus visitor experience right now. John Robert and I both come to you from our respected homes in Nashville, so we aren't even on campus. But we hope that you will find ways to connect with us virtually. But with that, John Robert's going to come on and help me answer any sort of questions you all have dropped in the chat. Here is all of our contact information. So like we said, I cover the Pittsburgh area. Julie, I don't know what happened. Julie covers the Philadelphia area, and John Robert covers pretty much all the rest of it. So I think this slide is on animation, so I will go back one. And if you all need that slide, just let us know. All right, what kind of questions do we have, John Robert? No questions?
No questions that I'm seeing. Please submit, the questions in the you can see the Q&A slide, and we'd be more than happy to answer them online. Make sure that everybody's gets their questions answered.
I guess I just did such a great job.
You did such a great job. You got everybody's questions answered.
Well, I hope that between our webinar here today and all of those virtual offerings, you all will be able to connect and get all the answers you need about Vanderbilt. But I think with that, we will conclude.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, PACAC, so much for hosting us today. As Laura mentioned, please give us a contact or shoot us an email, give us a call. We can answer any questions whatsoever. Laura did a phenomenal job kind of presenting Vanderbilt's, and hopefully, it piqued your interest. And if not, then we've done our jobs too, just to kind of give more information about Vanderbilt.
I want to just do this last slide, and then thank you so much for a great presentation. For those who are leaving us now, there'll be a quick survey. And remember that at pacac.org/virtual, you can see this recording or sign up for more. Thanks, and have a great weekend. Bye. Thank you. It was great.
Thank you.
It was great.
Thank you so much. You have a great one.
I will. You too. Bye.